They say she can smell fear across vacuum, whispered Draz Locke, his 4 eyes darting nervously around the dingy space bar. That's why she found the Imperator's secret bunker on Proxima 9, smelled his terror from orbit. I snorted, my gill flaps fluttering with amusement. And I suppose she can also breathe fire and turn invisible? Come on, Draz, she's just one human. Just one human. How stupidly arrogant those words sound to me now. My name is Vexar Quill, former intelligence commander of the Galactic Hegemony's 7th Fleet. I'm recording this testimony from a backwater moon where I have been hiding for the past 3 standard cycles. If you are listening to this, congratulations. You have found something the human hasn't yet. The human they call Amara Blackstone. Just pass me another nebula fizz, Draz Locke muttered, his tentacles trembling as he raised the glowing drink to his feeding orifice. You weren't there when she hit the Orion Nexus. I was. Lost my whole squad. Only survived because I was pinned under a dead Thrackan. I leaned forward, suddenly interested. The attack on Orion Nexus was classified information. Most citizens thought it was a reactor malfunction. You were at Orion? That was her? Draz Locke's voice dropped to a barely audible whisper. She came alone, one ship, broadcast a single message on all frequencies. Give me Comet at Rusak, or I take the station. They laughed. Then the lower deck started going dark. Security feeds showing glimpses of something moving through the corridors. It's too fast. Shooting, screaming, then silence. A cold sensation crept along my spine ridges. The station had over 4,000 personnel, 3,997 to be exact, said a smooth voice behind me. I turned, my heart stopping in my chest. She didn't look like a demon. That was the first thought that crossed my mind. Standing there in worn combat gear, she appeared almost ordinary. First encounter with Amara Blackstone, average height for a human, lean but not imposing. Short dark hair with a streak of silver running through it. The only remarkable feature was her eyes, green with flecks of gold that seemed to calculate everything they saw. Mind if I join you? Without waiting for an answer, she slid into the booth beside me, effectively blocking my exit. I have been looking for you, Commander Quill. Draz Locke made a strangled sound and tried to leave, but she casually placed a small device on the table. Proximity mine. Move more than 2 meters away and it goes boom. So let's all stay friendly, shall we? You are her, I managed to say, my throat suddenly dry. Amara Blackstone. She smiled, and it was like watching a predator bare its teeth. Oh, good. Do you know who I am? That saves time. What do you want? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Information, she replied, signaling the bartender, who immediately brought over a drink without being told what she wanted. Specifically, the location of General Pasteur. My blood ran cold. Pasteur was the architect of the Terran Purge, the military campaign that had wiped out most of humanity's colonies. The reason this woman had spent the last 5 years systematically hunting down everyone involved. I don't know where he is, I said truthfully. She sipped her drink, watching me over the rim of the glass. But you know who does? Damn, she was right. They will kill me if I talk, I protested weakly. Amara shrugged. I will kill you if you don't. The difference is they will make it slow and painful for political reasons. I will make it quick because I have a schedule to keep. Draz Locke whimpered, and she glanced at him with mild irritation. Oh, relax. You are not on my list. You are just a grunt following orders at Orion. You remember me? He stammered. I remember everyone, she said simply, and something in her tone made me believe it wasn't an exaggeration. Especially the ones who crawl under dead bodies to survive. Shows resourcefulness. She turned back to me, all business again. Admiral Krell, he's protecting Pasteur, isn't he? I nodded reluctantly. Krell has him on his personal command ship, the inevitable Dominance. Cute name, she remarked. Shields, defences. State-of-the-art, triple-layered quantum barriers, a full battalion of elite guards, automated defence systems that would recognise your biosignature instantly. I found myself talking faster, hoping to discourage her. It's a fortress. You'd need an armada to get within striking distance. Amara nodded thoughtfully, finishing her drink. Thanks for the intel. That's helpful. You are insane if you think you can get to him, I said. The inevitable Dominance has never been breached. She stood up, deactivating the proximity mine with a casual flick. First time for everything, Commander. As she turned to leave, curiosity overwhelmed my fear. Why are you doing this? The war is over. Humanity? The hunt begins. Lost. She stopped, and for a moment I saw something flicker across her face, a glimpse of such profound grief and rage that I wanted to look away. The war isn't over, she said quietly. It just got personal. 3 days later, the inevitable Dominance disappeared. Not destroyed, vanished, along with Admiral Krell and all 12,000 crew members. The only evidence something had happened was a brief transmission received by every military command centre in the hegemony. It was Pastor's personal authentication code, followed by his exact location, the coordinates of a black hole at the edge of charted space. The message was clear. She'd taken one of our most powerful warships and one of our highest-ranking admirals, extracted what she wanted and disposed of them in a place where we couldn't even recover the bodies. That's when the real hunt began. Not for her, but by her. The Galactic hegemony deployed everything. Bounty hunters, assassins, entire battle groups. They even released prisoners from the deadliest penal colonies with promises of freedom if they brought back her head. They all failed. Worse, each failure added to her arsenal. She took their ships, their weapons, their information. I went into hiding, hoping my small role in the Terran Purge would be overlooked. I'd only been an intelligence analyst after all. I never gave the orders, I just compiled the data that made the genocide possible. For a while, I thought I'd escaped her notice, then the messages started arriving. For high-ranking officials. Simple. Director. I'm coming for you. Those who ran died, exhausted and afraid. Those who set traps died in their own devices. Those who surrendered, well, no one surrendered and lived to tell about it. I kept moving, planet to moon to space station, constantly watching, waiting for her to appear. 6 months into my self-imposed exile, I received a package. Inside was a vial of liquid and a note. Drink this. It will make what comes next less painful. You have 24 hours to decide. I didn't drink it. Instead, I left everything behind and fled to this anonymous moon, where I have been hiding ever since. But I know she's coming. I can feel it. Just yesterday, I saw a ship in orbit that didn't match any registry I could access. Today, the local security network went offline for exactly 7 minutes, just enough time for someone to slice into the system and disable certain alerts. So I'm recording this testimony as a warning. Not about her, it's too late for warnings about Amara Blackstone. No, this is a warning about us. About what we did. You see, before the Terran Purge, humanity was just another spacefaring species. Numerous, yes. Adaptable, certainly. But not a threat. The hegemony's mistake was thinking we could exterminate them and face no consequences. We forgot the most dangerous thing about humans. They are at their deadliest when they have nothing left to lose. But the door to my hideout just opened. I didn't hear footsteps. I didn't hear anything at all. "Hello, Commander," says that calm, familiar voice. "I hope you have been well." She steps into view, looking exactly as she did in that bar. Same worn combat gear, same calculating eyes. "You found me," I say unnecessarily. "I was never looking for you," she replies with a small smile. Commander Quill's recruitment. I have known where you were since the day after you ran. I just had other priorities. Then why come for me now? I ask, genuinely confused. I was just an analyst. Because now I need an analyst, she says, pulling up a chair across from me. And you are going to help me. Help you with what? Her smile widens, and somehow that's more terrifying than any threat could be. Finding the rest of them, Commander Quill, every single being who authorized, planned, or executed the Terran Purge. You are going to help me hunt them all down. And if I refuse, I ask, already knowing the answer? You won't, she says confidently, because deep down, you know you deserve whatever I might do to you. The guilt has been eating at you for years. That's why you ran, isn't it? Not just from me, from what you helped do. She's right. Of course she's right. Why not just kill me like the others? I ask quietly. Amara leans forward, her eyes never leaving mine. Because you're going to be much more useful alive. Besides, I never said I killed everyone I found. Some I have recruited. Recruited for what? The next phase, she says cryptically. Once the hunting is done, the rebuilding begins. I stare at her, suddenly understanding. You are not just seeking revenge, you are planning to restart humanity. She nods slowly. There are survivors, hidden colonies, research outposts, sleeper ships. Not many, but enough, and they need a safe galaxy to return to. The hegemony will never allow it, I protest. The hegemony, she says with quiet certainty, won't have a choice. Now, are you with me, or do I need to get unpleasant? I look at the recording device still capturing every word. I should be terrified. I should be begging for my life. Instead, I feel something I haven't felt since before the purge. Hope. Computer, end recording, I say firmly, then turn back to the human who has made an entire galaxy tremble. Where do we start? First rule, Amara said, tossing a neural link onto the table between us. No betrayals. This device will monitor your vitals and brain activity. One treacherous thought, and it triggers a toxin that liquefies your nervous system in 8 seconds. Painful way to go. I stared at the innocuous-looking wristband. That's reassuring. Trust has to be earned, Commander Quill, she replied with a shrug, and we don't have time for the traditional team-building exercises. Reluctantly, I strapped the device to my arm, feeling a slight pinch as microscopic filaments burrowed into my skin. The tiny light glowed green. Apparently, my current level of fear and resentment was acceptable. Second rule, she continued, activating a holographic display showing a massive starship I'd never seen before. The Phoenix is our base of operations. My ship, my rules. Question my decisions privately or offer alternatives, but never undermine my authority in front of the crew. Crew? I blinked in surprise. How many others have you recruited? Amara's lips curved in what might have been amusement. Enough to staff a capital ship. Not all form a hegemony. Some were already sympathetic to humans. Others had their own reasons to turn against the Phoenix and its crew. Regime. You will meet them soon enough. She stood abruptly. We leave in 30 minutes. Grab whatever you can carry in one bag. The rest stays behind. 30 minutes? But I need to... 29 now, she interrupted, checking her timepiece. Clock's ticking, Commander. 28 minutes later, I was following her through the back alleys of the settlement, clutching apathetically. A small bag containing the remnants of my life. We approached what appeared to be an abandoned warehouse. Amara tapped a complex sequence on her wrist communicator. Transport for 2, she said quietly. The air in front of us shimmered, and suddenly we were standing in a gleaming teleportation chamber. A tall, blue-skinned Aurorian stood at the controls, his compound eyes widening at the sight of me. Captain, he acknowledged with a respectful nod to Amara. This is the analyst? This is Vexar Quill, she confirmed. Quill, meet Tazar, my second-in-command and the best pilot in 3 sectors." The Azurian gave me an appraising look. A former intelligence commander, specialization in pattern recognition and predictive analytics, helped identify key human settlements during the Purge. My jaw tightened. That was classified information. "Not anymore," Tazar replied coolly. "Nothing's classified on the Phoenix." Amara gestured for me to follow her. "Command deck briefing in 10. Tazar will show you to your quarters." As soon as she left, the temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Tazar's posture shifted subtly from professional to menacing. "My entire family lived on a trading outpost near Alpha Centauri," he said quietly. "Very cosmopolitan. Many humans. Many friends. All gone now, thanks to people like you." I swallowed hard. "I didn't give the orders." "No, you just helped them find their targets." His voice was eerily calm. "The only reason you are still breathing is because the captain thinks you are useful. I suggest you prove her right very quickly." Tazar led me through corridors that hummed with advanced technology. The Phoenix was unlike any vessel I'd seen in the hegemony fleet, a seamless blend of multiple species engineering, human ingenuity, Azurian precision, even some hegemony systems that had clearly been repurposed. My quarters were Spartan but comfortable, a bunk, workstation and small washroom. The door hissed shut behind me as Tazar left without another word. Almost immediately, my workstation activated. "Command deck briefing begins in 5 minutes," announced a pleasant synthetic voice. "Please proceed to Deck 1. The command deck of the Phoenix took my breath away. A vast circular chamber dominated by a holographic projection of the galaxy at its center. Around it stood the most improbable collection of beings I'd ever seen working together. An elderly human woman with silver hair and cybernetic enhancements manipulating, mission to Nexus Station, navigation controls, the burly Kronax, a species known for their ferocity in battle, calmly discussing tactical options with a slender Vesperian strategist. A pair of quantum twins, rare symbiotic entities that could process information at incredible speeds, managing communications. And at the center of it all, Amara Blackstone. She didn't raise her voice or make grand gestures, yet everyone's attention immediately shifted to her when she began speaking. "Our new intelligence analyst has arrived," she announced, nodding toward me. "Commander Quill will be helping us locate the remaining architects of the Terran Purge." Several crew members regarded me with open hostility, others with cold indifference, a few with curiosity. "Our next target is Governor Xandro," Amara continued, bringing up the image of a corpulent Gorgonian with distinctive purple flesh and multiple eye-tocs, currently hiding in plain sight on Nexus Station under the alias Merchant Roll. He oversees a luxury goods empire, but his real business is information brokering. The elderly human woman spoke up. "Security on Nexus is tight. Biometric scans at every dock, neural pattern recognition in all public spaces. That's why we are sending in a team who won't trigger those systems." Amara replied, "Quill, Tazar, and myself." I blinked in surprise. "Me? On a field mission?" Amara's expression didn't change. "Problem?" "I'm an analyst, not a field operative," I protested. "I haven't done field work in—" "You successfully evaded detection by both the hegemony and me for nearly 7 months," she interrupted. "Clearly you have some applicable skills." Before I could argue further, she continued, "Besides, you personally compiled the psychological profile on Xandro during the Purge. You know his weaknesses, his habits, his fears." "That was years ago," I countered. "People don't change that much," she said dismissively. "Especially Gorgonians. Their neural pathways become fixed after their 3rd molting." "What's the objective?" asked Tazar. "Extraction or elimination? Amara's eyes hardened. Extraction. Sandro has the access codes to the hegemony's deep archives. We need those codes intact, which means we need him cooperative. She turned to me. That's where you come in, Quill. Your profile noted he's susceptible to very specific types of persuasion. I remembered the profile well. Xandro had an almost pathological fear of sensory deprivation, common among Gorgonians whose multiple senses made isolation particularly traumatic. You are going to threaten to deprive him of his senses? I asked. Amara smiled thinly. No, Commander. You are... The briefing continued, with each team member receiving their assignments. As the others dispersed, Amara gestured for me to stay behind. Doubts? She asked bluntly when we were alone. I hesitated, then decided honesty was the safest approach. Many, starting with why you are trusting me with such a critical mission so quickly. Who said anything about trust? She countered. That neural link on your wrist works both ways. If you deviate from the... Confronting Governor Xandros. Plan, I will know instantly. Besides, you are more useful to me alive than dead, and you are smart enough to realize that. And after we get these deep archive codes, what then? Something shifted in her expression, a glimpse of the larger vision driving her. Then we find the surviving human colonies, all of them, even the ones the hegemony doesn't know about. To what end? I pressed. Revenge. Revenge is just the beginning, she said quietly, not the end. 48 hours later, we were approaching Nexus Station aboard a nondescript merchant vessel. Tazar had altered our biosignatures just enough to fool the scanners without triggering the falsification alarms. A delicate balance I wouldn't have thought possible. Amara looked completely different. Gone was the combat gear, replaced by the flowing garments of a wealthy Celestian trader. Her skin had been temporarily tinted a pale blue. Her eyes changed to solid black. Even her voice had been modulated to the musical tones of Silstian aristocracy. Remember your cover, she reminded me as we prepared to dock. You are Broker Fen, my financial advisor. Speak only when spoken to. Defer to me in all matters. I adjusted my own disguise, the ridged forehead and yellow-tinged skin of a minor hegemony species, known for their accounting skills and unremarkable presence. And if we are separated? We won't be, she said with absolute certainty. But if something unexpected happens, the emergency extraction point is Docking Bay 17, Maintenance Corridor C. Tazar joined us, his blue skin now mottled grey, his elegant frame hunched into the servile posture of a personal attendant. Docking permission granted. We are expected. Expected? I asked, alarm rising. How could they be expecting us? Amara smiled. Because I have been bribing Xandro's assistant for the past 3 months under another identity. Today's the day I finally agreed to his master's invitation to discuss a mutually beneficial arrangement. I stared at her. You have been planning this for that long? Longer, she replied simply. I plan everything, Commander. Remember that. Nexus Station lived up to its reputation as the jewel of the Outer Rim, a massive torus of gleaming metal and crystal, teeming with the galaxy's wealthiest and most powerful beings. The air was perfumed, the gravity perfectly calibrated, the ambient temperature adjusted for maximum comfort of a dozen different species. We were escorted by silent security drones to a private elevator that ascended to the station's exclusive upper rings. The doors opened into a luxurious reception area where a nervous-looking Threllan was waiting. Honoured Merchant Vess, he greeted Amara with a deep bow. I am Plex, Senior Assistant to Merchant Role. He awaits you in the Grand Salon. As we followed Plex through opulent corridors, I noted the subtle security measures hidden behind the luxury. Motion sensors disguised as decorative elements, weapon scanners embedded in archways, even the floor plates that would record our weight distribution patterns. The Grand Salon was aptly named, a vast chamber with panoramic views of the spinning galaxy beyond the station. In the centre, lounging on a gravity cushion designed for his bulky form, was Governor Xandro, now Merchant Roll. Recognition flashed in my mind immediately. Despite the cosmetic alterations he'd made to his appearance, his eye stalks were fewer, his purple flesh now tinged with gold at the edges. The distinctive pattern of his breathing siphons was unmistakable. "Ah, the mysterious merchant dress," he burbled in the liquid tones of his species. "At last we meet in the flesh. Your reputation precedes you." Amara glided forward with the perfect mannerisms of celestial nobility. "As does yours, esteemed Roll. Your collection of rarities is spoken of with awe throughout the rim worlds." Xandro preened visibly at the flattery. "Perhaps you would care to view some of my most prized acquisitions. In private, of course." "A delightful proposition," Amara agreed, "though my financial advisor must accompany us. I never discuss potential investments without his counsel." Xandro waved a dismissive appendage. Of course. Plex, escort our other guests to the refreshment lounge." Tazar bowed deeply and followed the assistant, leaving Amara and me alone with the former governor. As Xandro led us into his private gallery, I noticed Amara casually touch a small device on her wrist. Immediately, a nearly imperceptible hum filled the air, a signal jammer neutralizing any surveillance. "Such extraordinary pieces," Amara murmured, examining a display case containing what appeared to be ancient artifacts. Xandro moved closer, his eyes swivelling with pleasure at her apparent admiration. "Yes, these date back to the pre-hegemony era. Quite valuable, quite rare." "Not as rare as a surviving architect of the Terran Purge," Amara said, her voice abruptly losing its celestial musicality. Xandro froze, eye stalks rigid with shock. I don't know what you are talking about." Amara's disguise seemed to melt away as she straightened to her full height, all pretense of subservience gone. "Hello, Governor Xandro. Or do you prefer I use your military title, the Director of Purification for the Orion Sector, wasn't it?" The Gorgonian's flesh paled, his breathing siphons flaring in panic. "Guards!" he bellowed, scrambling backward. "They can't hear you," I said, stepping forward, "not through the signal disruption." "You!" Xandro hissed, recognition dawning. "Intelligence Commander Quill, you are supposed to be dead. Reports of my death were—" I paused, glancing at Amara. "Premature." "What do you want?" Xandro demanded, backing against a display case. "Credits? Safe passage? I can arrange anything." Amara moved with sudden fluid speed, producing a small device that she pressed against the Gorgonian's primary nerve cluster. He froze, paralyzed but conscious. "What I want," she said softly, "are the access codes to the deep archives, the complete, unredacted records of the Terran Purge." Heat pulsed visibly through Xandro's translucent flesh. "Impossible. Those records are sealed by the High Council themselves." "Yet you have access," I interjected, recalling details from his personnel file. "Emergency Protocol Override Delta 97, established during the Purge to ensure continuity of command if the High Council was compromised." Xandro's eye stalk swiveled toward me in horror. "How could you possibly know that?" "I helped write the protocol," I replied grimly. "He won't cooperate willingly," I told Amara. "Gorgonians respond to very specific stimuli when under duress." She nodded. "Show me." I approached Xandro, keeping my voice clinical and detached. "Governor, are you familiar with sensory isolation chambers, specifically those designed for Gorgonian physiology?" A tremor ran through his massive body. "You wouldn't dare. The hegemony would hunt you to the ends of the galaxy." "They are already doing that," Amara pointed out, "and failing spectacularly." I continued as if he hadn't spoken. "First, we would cap your eye stalks one by one, slowly. Then seal your auditory canals. After that, your olfactory receptors, taste buds, pressure sensors, until finally, I leaned closer, your temporal perception gland would be isolated. Do you know what happens to a Gorgonian when they can no longer sense the passage of time? Madness, he whispered, within hours. Minutes, actually, I corrected. I have seen the experimental results. Xandro's resistance collapsed like a dying star. The codes, take them. Just don't do that. Amara produced a neural extractor, a device designed to copy information directly from a subject's memory. This won't hurt, she lied, pressing it against his cranial ridge. For much of the extraction, it took less than 30 seconds, but Xandro's agonized gurgling made it seem much longer. When it was done, Amara checked the device and nodded with satisfaction. Complete data package, including some bonus information he was trying to hide. She turned to the trembling Gorgonian. Thank you for your cooperation, Governor. You have what you want, Xandro gasped. Now let me go. Amara tilted her head, studying him with those calculating eyes. Let you go? So you can alert the hegemony? I don't think so. You promised, the Gorgonian shrieked. I made no promises, Amara replied calmly. The Commander Quill merely described a scenario, one that, fortunately for you, we won't need to implement. She pressed another device against his flesh. This one injected something that made his eye stalks droop immediately. Memory wipe? I asked as Xandro slumped unconscious. Selective, she confirmed. He will remember meeting with a potential buyer who left without making a purchase. Nothing about us, nothing about the codes. Elegant solution, I admitted, impressed despite myself. I don't kill unnecessarily, Amara said, already moving toward the exit. It's inefficient. Now hurry. We have exactly 7 minutes before his security protocols automatically reset. We collected Tazar and departed the station without incident. Our disguises intact. Our mission accomplished. It wasn't until we were safely back aboard the Phoenix that I fully processed what had happened. You knew I would threaten him with his worst fear, I said to Amara as we stood in her private command center. You counted on it. She nodded, studying the data we'd extracted. Your psychological profile was thorough. I knew exactly what buttons you would push. You had a... Project Rebirth revealed psychological profile on me. I have one on every person who played a significant role in the Purge, she replied matter-of-factly. Know your enemy, Commander. And am I still your enemy? I asked quietly. She looked up from the data, her expression unreadable. That depends entirely on you. The deep archive codes unlocked a treasure trove of information far beyond even my security clearance during my time with the hegemony. Secret installations, black sites, experimental weapons programs, and most importantly, the complete record of the Terran Purge, including information about human survivors. There were more than we thought, Amara murmured, poring over the data late into the ship's night cycle. Hidden colonies, sleeper ships launched in secret, research outposts disguised as abandoned facilities. I studied the data with her, feeling a complex mixture of emotions. The hegemony knew they couldn't get them all. They just wanted to eliminate enough that humanity would never recover as a species. They underestimated us, she said, a rare smile crossing her face again. Over the next few weeks, I watched Amara's master plan unfold with precision that bordered on prescience. Each target, each mission, perfectly calculated for maximum impact with minimum casualties. We extracted a hegemony admiral from his flagship in the middle of a military parade, captured a weapons researcher from a supposedly impenetrable laboratory, retrieved classified data from the personal quarters of a High Council member, while they slept undisturbed mere meters away. Each success brought us closer to Amara's true goal, building a network of human survivors strong enough to force the hegemony to acknowledge their right to exist. It wasn't until our mission to the icy moon of Kala that I finally understood the full scope of her vision. We were there to recover something the archives called Project Rebirth, apparently a cache of human genetic material preserved before the Purge. As we descended into an abandoned hegemony research facility buried beneath the moon's frozen surface, Tazar suddenly stiffened, checking his scanner. "Life signs," he reported, "hundreds of them, but the readings are strange." Amara nodded as if this confirmed something she already knew. They would be. She led us through darkened corridors that gradually became illuminated as automated systems detected our presence. The facility powered up around us, ancient machinery humming to life. And then we entered the central chamber. Stasis pods, hundreds of them, each containing a sleeping human. "What is this?" I whispered, staring at the endless rows of pods disappearing into the distance. "A future," Amara replied simply. "These aren't just random survivors, Commander. These are scientists, doctors, engineers, leaders. The best minds of humanity, preserved before the Purge by a splinter faction within the hegemony itself." "Impossible," Tazar breathed. "The hegemony would never—" "Not the hegemony officially," she corrected him. "A secret society within it. Those who foresaw that eliminating humanity would ultimately weaken the galaxy, not strengthen it." I moved closer to one of the pods, wiping frost from its surface. Inside was a young woman, peacefully suspended in time. "How many facilities like this exist?" "7 that we know of," Amara said, "each containing specialists in different fields. This one focuses on terraforming and ecological engineering." "You are not just saving what's left of humanity," I realized, finally seeing the complete picture. "You are rebuilding it. Better than before." She nodded, her hand resting gently on one of the stasis pods. "The hegemony thought they were eliminating a threat. What they really did was force us to evolve, to become stronger, more determined." "And what happens when all the architects of the Purge have been dealt with?" I asked. "When you have united all these survivors?" Amara turned to me, and for the first time since I'd met her, I saw something like hope in those calculating eyes. "Then we return to the stars," she said, "not as conquerors, but as teachers, partners, showing the galaxy what it lost when it tried to exterminate us, creating something better than the hegemony ever could." "A second chance," I murmured, "for everyone." She agreed, even those who tried to destroy us. As we began the process of reviving the first stasis pods, I realized that the story the galaxy had been telling itself was wrong. Amara Blackstone wasn't a vengeful demon hunting down those who had wronged her kind. She was something far more dangerous, a visionary with the will and means to reshape the future. But the galaxy had hunted one human. Now it would have to reckon with thousands, guided by the woman who had outsmarted the most powerful forces in known space. And I, once her enemy, would help her build this new beginning. Not out of fear or guilt, though both still lingered, but because for the first time in longer than I could remember, I believed in something greater than survival. "Ready to change the galaxy, Commander Quill?" Amara asked, extending her hand to me as the first humans began to awaken from their long slumber. I took her hand, my decision made. "Ready, Captain Blackstone." The hunt was over. The rebuilding had begun.